This is Arizona Cat's Eye News.
So personally, I don't think it's a good idea.
Concealed carry weapons could potentially be allowed on college campuses in Arizona. What students have to say, coming up.
Well, I'd probably be on it for 12, 13 hours a day.
Screen time increased due to COVID-19 affecting students and teachers. What you need to know about the impact to your health. From spring to autumn.
Ariana, Jeffrey, good morning. I wish I was with both of you in the studio as it's another hot day here in the old Pueblo. I will have your weekend forecast coming up.
Good morning, Asher Bookspan here. The women's club volleyball team has their sights set on the future after a defeat in nationals. We'll take a closer look in just a few minutes.
Good morning, Tucson. Welcome to Arizona Cat's Eye. I'm Jeffrey Roberts.
And I'm Ariana Reyna. We have a lot to cover this morning. Let's start with our top stories.
The Arizona Senate Judiciary Committee passed Senate Bill 1123 in January. Now, this bill, if fully approved, would allow certain people to have firearms on campus. Cat's Eye reporter Elise Dan brings us what frontline workers think about this bill and the potential impact they may face.
As of right now, the current policy at the University of Arizona does not allow any firearms on campus, even if you have a concealed carry permit. This includes displaying of any weapon or storing them on campus. But frontline staff member MX Hyde is worried if this policy changes.
I think that if you add more type of risks, it is a higher chance of something wrong happening.
Student argues more violence could happen if guns are allowed on campus.
I think that you don't have to escalate things with violence with guns, so personally I don't think it's a good idea.
As of right now, in the state of Arizona, obtaining a concealed carry weapon requires taking an approved firearms class, submitting an application with fingerprints, and paying a $60 fee. Any U.S. citizen is eligible as long as they are at least 21 years old and permitted to possess a firearm. These permits are also valid for 5 years. Senate Bill 1123 still has to pass the Arizona House, Senate, and then Governor to come into effect. Leah Testify raises concerns if students were out partying, there could be misuse of firearms.
Where people can get pretty upset, and I think if they are carrying some sort of gun on them, they'll be more inclined to just take that out rather than resolving it in a different way.
If Senate Bill 1123 passes, this could potentially allow firearms in dorm rooms and classrooms on campus. Professors would also be allowed to have a concealed carry on them in the classroom. The Senate argues this can potentially allow another layer of protection on campus. However, the bill still needs to pass other branches of state government. Elise Dan, Arizona Cat's Eye.
And as we are coming to the end of the pandemic, some businesses continue facing the after effects when it comes to employment, while others seem to be thriving. For some places, such as Starbucks, located on University in Euclid, working during a pandemic wasn't an issue. In fact, nearly 700 Starbucks employees graduated in May with a bachelor's degree from ASU, with 100% of their tuition covered by Starbucks.
A recent study conducted at Portland State University concludes 50% of Americans in major cities would ride a bicycle but don't feel safe. Tucson has been putting infrastructure to make sure its residents don't feel that way. Plans to continue building safer infrastructure start with the Tucson Bicycle Advisory Committee, which meets on the first Wednesday of every month.
Grocery stores recover from stock shortages after struggling to keep shelves fully stocked for months due to the coronavirus pandemic. However, solving one problem yet causes another. Where stores are facing an increase in food prices, recent reports of the Department of Agriculture predict a 4.5 to 5% increase in food prices.
An apprentice program at the University of Arizona is helping with the labor shortage in the construction industry. The Arizona Construction Trades allow students to learn the basic skills of the classroom while also helping to get them hired by general contractors. Experts from the Commerce predict a 5% increase in employment. Meanwhile, businesses say they're hoping for better as the shortage continues.
The pandemic impacted all sectors of the economy, but as COVID restrictions ease, local wedding businesses say the I-dos are booming once again. Cat's Eye reporter Christina Felix explains how businesses are trying to keep up with the demand.
It's been 2 years since the start of the pandemic. Wedding planning businesses experienced back-to-back cancellations, impacting their life and the economy.
2020 was slated to be my best year ever, and we were really hitting to be our best stride for that year. The most full calendar I've ever had on the books. Had 125 weddings cancel and or postpone. We lost $1 million. I didn't qualify for all of those programs.
Candice Carrillo is the owner of Silwa House, located in downtown. She says the challenging part was trying to save her business.
And it was very hard because how do you pass on costs to people like that? People were mean. I would tell my husband every day I'm going to close.
As more I-dos continue to come, business owners are staying positive for what has been known as a dream day for a future couple.
I'm extremely grateful for the people who did stay with me. We're here with a book calendar of 20 weddings this month. We have a wedding today on a Monday for people who couldn't get married, couldn't find a date during COVID. And so we're grateful to them.
Other business owners, such as Cayupe Gonzalez, a photographer, describes the pandemic as unpredictable for her clients.
We live very close to the border, so a lot of people were always counting on visitors and guests from Mexico and to be part of their big day. And then they decided to postpone.
She hopes she can continue capturing memories where people do not have to stay 6 feet apart.
It just makes me realize that connections and relationships matter a lot. But to share that happiness with all of the people that you love, it just multiplies. It just seems like being able to document those interactions seem to be more stronger.
In Tucson, I am Christina Felix reporting.
Wow, people are getting married even on Mondays.
I know. I guess I should probably start planning my wedding.
Right? And we've got to be careful with all those people gathered at those weddings, especially with COVID cases on the rise. In fact, the University of Arizona is continuing its efforts to track the spread of the coronavirus on campus through wastewater testing. Cat's Eye reporter Jeffrey Roberts spoke to university researchers about their efforts.
It's early in the morning when teams collect wastewater samples from water streams on campus.
We go out and we sample different locations across the campus from the wastewater streams that come out of the dorms.
Ian Pepper directs the Water and Energy Sustainability Technology Center and says collecting wastewater samples early in the morning is important to getting an accurate sample.
Around 8:30 in the morning, early in the morning is when the people are using the bathroom.
Aiden Foster is a PhD student at the West Center and says the process of collecting wastewater samples takes less than 10 minutes.
It's actually pretty quick. We open the manhole cover and there's a water stream coming out of the flow that we're interested in. We then take some 250 ml bottles with a sampling rod, basically stick it down there, collect 70 plus mils of sample, hold them on ice, close the manhole cover, and collect some more.
After those samples are collected, they're taken back to the West Center where the samples are filtered, extracted, and then examined for strains of the coronavirus. That data is then used to determine how many people on campus may be infected. In Tucson, I'm Jeffrey Roberts.
And your most accurate forecast right now.
I'm Autumn Freutland with your weather report. Warmer weather is finally here and you can feel it. Tucson reaching a high of 100 on Tuesday for the first time this year, breaking the previous record of 99 degrees. While triple digits have arrived, you don't have to hide inside just yet, as this weekend's forecast will remain in the low 90s. Let's go ahead and take a look. A warm and sunny day here in the 520 with a high of 88 and a low of 53. A little rise in temperature on Saturday with clear skies and highs of 93 and 94. So make sure to include water and sunscreen in your plans for the weekend. Weather here in the valley has been slightly windy, which means more dust and bacteria is in the air. This also increases the risk for both people and animals to catch valley fever. The Arizona Board of Regents recently granted the Valley Fever Collaborative $3.3 million, which includes research from the 3 major Arizona universities. Here's my report. The group of researchers is teaming up to help locate the hotspots all over the valley in order to slow the spread of valley fever. Dr. John Galgiani is the lead researcher from the U of A, and he explained that Arizona is responsible for 2/3 of all U.S. cases.
In Arizona, between Phoenix and Tucson, where most of the people in the state live,
and most of the cases occur.
Dr. Galgiani explained that teaming up with Arizona State University and Northern Arizona University helps provide more balanced research, as each university can offer different insights.
There are areas of expertise that differ on all three campuses. So there are some things at ASU that we don't have, and some things that we have that ASU doesn't have. NAU is strong in certain areas, and so putting those faculty together to work together as a team gets us a lot more strength in trying to answer the questions we want to answer.
There is currently no cure. Experts say doctor visits could last months or even years after a patient is diagnosed.
People who get over this do so because their immune system eventually controls it. And for people whose immune system can't do that for whatever reason, they may need treatment for very, very long periods of time, even lifetime.
Patient Scott Joseph had no idea how severe the disease was before he was diagnosed in December.
Living in Arizona, I've heard of valley fever before, but I really thought it was something that dogs and animals got, from sniffing the dirt. So when I got really sick, I had no idea what it was. And I ended up having to go to ER, actually a hospital for a few days. And then finally, I was actually diagnosed that I had valley fever.
Since his diagnosis, he has scheduled doctor visits that will carry out over the next 3 years.
I basically have to live with it forever. From the doctors have told me, it won't go away. So I have to live with it forever.
For more information on the Valley Fever Collaborative and information regarding valley fever, visit the website vfce.arizona.edu. In Tucson, I'm Autumn Freutland reporting.
Cancer is the leading cause of death in firemen. What local firemen are doing to prevent it, coming up.
We are still in the midst of a pandemic, but its lasting effects still hinder students' mental health. Coming up, what a university program has to offer.
The University of Arizona is the third largest producer of Paralympian athletes. We'll tell why donations are key to keep the program thriving.
Cancer is the leading cause of death among firemen. Reports say that 68% of firemen are more likely to be diagnosed with cancer than the general public. Cat's-Eye reporter Ashley Hammett digs deeper into this issue and tells us what those firefighters are doing to prevent it.
Firefighters are a huge part of our society. They do so much to keep us out of harm's way, but what keeps them safe?
I had cancer when I first started my career in the fire service. So almost 4 years into my career, I developed thyroid cancer.
Darren Wallentyne faced both psychological and physical challenges.
So the fact that I've dealt with this, the uncertainty, not knowing if I'm going to have a career because I got a cancer diagnosis, not knowing if I'm going to, live long enough to see, my grandchildren or walk my daughters down the aisle for their wedding. Having had cancer early on, I think is what motivated me to work specifically in the safety and wellness.
Many firemen and women like Wallentyne are unaware of the health risks they may encounter when making a decision to become a firefighter. Some of us may have an idea of what it entails and how to handle it, but the reality is, you don't know the entirety of it until you're there.
There's many things that people don't take into consideration that could cause injury, illness, and then ultimately take your life from a career in the fire service.
There are many organizations that want to help. Tucson Fire Foundation's main idea is to help with the wellness of the firemen in the community.
And their goal was just to try and figure out how to help firefighters make sure that they made it not only to retirement, but well into retirement.
Heath Evans is a vice chair for the foundation. He says the foundation holds fundraisers, resales, and wellness campaigns for cancer prevention, counseling, and mental health programs. But they also help to provide firemen with essential equipment that they need.
We originally bought a pair of wire cutters for every firefighter in Tucson. And that was kind of our big goal, was we wanted every firefighter to have something safe to cut them out if they got trapped in a fire.
But firemen and women are also doing their part to protect themselves.
It's a decontamination process where we basically use a 5-gallon bucket with Dawn dish soap and water and then a scrub brush using the soap that encapsulates up to about 85% of the cancer-causing toxins to scrub them off before our firefighters begin to take their gear off.
Contaminated fire gear is not permitted back in the truck until it is decontaminated and bagged. In Tucson, I'm Ashley Hammett, reporting.
According to a new report, the University of Arizona has been experiencing an increase in mental health services amongst the students. However, the UA's Arizona's Counseling and Psych Services Office provide free mental health counseling on campus. CAPS reported almost 18,000 visits to their clinics from about 3,000 students in need. Visit caps.arizona.edu for more information.
Screen time increased exponentially due to COVID-19, affecting students and teachers. Experts say people spent more time online for work and classes, but also used screens to cope with stress, mental health, and negative feelings. Cat's Eye reporter Delana Stenshaver tells us more about the type and extent of the damage screens can do to your eye health.
Screen time refers to the amount of time spent and activities performed while using a digital device. According to an article published in July of 2021 on excessive screen time during COVID-19 and mental health, there was an approximate 5-hour increase in screen time, resulting in almost 18 hours a day.
Before the pandemic, their whole life was school and then going home and being on the screen. Being in the pandemic, it was screen time on Zoom about 8 hours a day, and then they would get off Zoom, but then go onto their iPads and then be on screens more.
The American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry recommends around 6 hours a day of screen time for children. That number has increased to 8.8 hours a day for young adults.
The increase in screen time hasn't just been hard on students and teachers academically, but it has a physical effect on everyone experiencing an increase in screen time.
Some of the most common side effects that students are experiencing are eye and head pain.
Definitely looking at my phone more. After about 3 weeks online, after a Zoom meeting, I looked away from the screen and then I realized, oh, I can't see that well.
College students like Jake Thomason have also been impacted by increased screen time due to online classes.
Still pretty high, mainly because I switched majors to something I did when I was in the Air Force. So when I was in nursing school, I'd probably be on it for 12, 13 hours a day, and now I'm looking at 7 to 9 being the max.
Medical experts recommend holding devices away from the face and make sure to take lots of screen breaks. In Tucson, I'm Delana Stenshaver reporting.
With the demand for healthcare workers growing constantly after COVID-19, the University of Arizona is encouraging more women to look into the career path. In February of 2020, total health employment was 16.5 million. By April of that same year, it dropped to 14.9 million.
Not everyone can go through the pandemic. It's not in very easy situations.
The UA says women are continuously encouraged to study medicine and strive to be in high positions.
Tucson band by the name of Desert Music Project has come together during the COVID-19 pandemic. The genre of music they play,
like nature-y, alt-rock with folky twang kind of vibes.
The band is composed of two brothers. Desert Music Project has an album coming out later this year with 6 original songs. Be sure to check them out on Instagram.
The 1960s is considered to be the golden age for rock music in Mexico. Rock groups dominated the music charts and have since gained popularity amongst their audiences. But in 1991, a rock band formed in Nogales, Sonora, created an original sound. Raza Ordenaria has brought their sound across the border for 30 years. The original members of Raza Ordenaria are husband and wife, and define their band by the originality, the passion, and the friendships they have created. Speaking of friendships, our pal Asher is serving up sports.
Welcome to Athletic Updates with Asher. I'm your host, Asher Bookspan. With Arizona women's beach volleyball set to host the Pac-12 tournament, the Arizona Adaptive Athletics program continues to build on one of the nation's leading programs with increased donations this year, while women's club volleyball has their sights set on the future after a defeat in nationals. Arizona women's club volleyball team came back from nationals with their heads held high as they begin to prepare for next season. The A team finished 17th in one silver bracket, while B team finished 29th. The A team seniors, Layla El Ali, Bailey Erickson, Kate Webb, and Ali Grebsmuhl, as well as B team seniors Hannah Parrish, Nikki Johnson, Carly Toffel, and Maddie Wood and Michaela Lee will all be missed as they are graduating in May. Adaptive Athletics continues to expand their program with donations. The University of Arizona is the third largest producer of Paralympian athletes, and your donations could help an athlete go to the Paralympics or even fund a new sports program, so anyone with a disability can be included in athletics. The practice facilities at the rec center have recently been renovated thanks to a large donation. Donations are one of the key parts to keep the program thriving. That's all for today in sports. Stay tuned for Arizona men's tennis and the end of the baseball and softball seasons. I'm your host, Asher Bookspan.
Tucson is known for its rich food scene. Being just about an hour away from the border with Sonora, Mexico, makes Tucson the perfect place to find Sonoran food. The owners of Miramar, a local Mexican seafood truck in Tucson, said that they get their seafood from Guaymas, Sonora, 2 or 3 times a week. Don't forget to stop by and support small local businesses.
Well, Pima Animal Care Center is one of the nation's leading municipal shelters. Among the services they provide are vaccinations, microchipping, and housing the animals. They call themselves the largest group of lifesavers in Pima County, but they need support from volunteers to continue helping with their mission. For more information to volunteer, visit webcms.pima.gov.
Somebody get me some sunglasses. Cobalt, let's rock.
Studies show most underrepresented students seeking degrees in science, technology, engineering, or mathematics drop out of college because of chemistry. This is according to a recent study by the University of Washington. But a chemistry professor at the University of Arizona is trying to change that by finding a new way to educate kids of all ages. To learn more about the comics, visit kidschemicalsolutions.com.
I think those comics look pretty cool.
I think so also.
Well, that's Arizona Cat's Eye.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of the day.